What is going on, wonderful people? Thank you for tuning in. We are live here at the Dr. Pepper Ballpark in Frisco with the inaugural Lone Star Diamond Classic featuring Southern University and University of Arkansas Pine Bluff baseball teams. It's going to be an amazing series of the next 3 games, and we're grateful that BCSG 360 have allowed us to introduce the games with this interview of ex-Dallas Cowboys quarterback Quincy Carter by Dr. Moses Chism and his platform, Game Over. It's an amazing interview. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. It's coming up right now.
Hello, my name is Dr. Moses Chism. Welcome to Game Over. This is a mental health awareness platform for all athletes of all kinds. I created this mental health platform to empower athletes on developing a life while giving their life to the game, because when the game is over, real life begins. And we have a special guest, and this brother is the epitome of a hero. And when we get into his story, I would justify that statement by telling you why he is a hero. And I am pleased to introduce to some and to present to others one of the first African-American quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, Quincy Carter. Quincy, this is why I call you a hero. If you look at our society, it's driven by heroes. And not all the time, heroes have the best life because they sacrifice their life for everybody else, just like you have sacrificed your life to the game. And if you look at Superman, his planet was destroyed. You know what I'm saying? But when there's a problem, everybody call on Superman. And the reason why I created this platform is because there's a lot of young people who want to make it to your level. And a lot of them don't make it. And they end up having a lot of psychological side effects and end up either dying or divorce, drug abuse, alcohol, or whatever. So the reason why I call you a hero, brother, because number one, you was the first at a lot of great things. You know what I'm saying? And what I love about your story is your ability to be resilient. I know they call you Quincy Carter, but in my world, we call you Mr. Resilience because you are able to bounce back. So in this interview, what I would like to do is let the world know your journey, because your journey didn't end once you stopped playing for Cowboys. That was only a destination, a stop, So I want to take people over your journey and let them know how you were able to become the first at things, how you was able to become successful at things. And then I want you to be able to let our audience know what was the mental health burden that you had to carry. So first of all, congratulations. And I'm so happy that you are here. So before we get started, give the audience an update on what you got going in your life now, my brother.
Man, about 2 years ago, I checked myself into rehab, and I've been battling with my addiction for the better half of about 13 or 14 years, and I get 5-6 months here, back in the rehab, 7-8 months back in the rehab, and what I was doing basically, man, I was going and getting Band-Aids over a major wound. And finally, a couple of years ago, man, I surrendered to the program. I surrendered to God, and really, put addiction forefront of my life instead of just putting a Band-Aid on it and thinking everything was going to be okay. So I'm actively right now in recovery years, but now I'm venturing off in actually not only just training quarterbacks, but setting up various camps. I do a lot of public speaking, some motivational speaking, whether it's at rehabs, whether it's at high schools, whether it's at universities. So, man, honestly, man, I'm just so blessed to be in this type of mind frame that I'm in. I'm blessed to really get the rehabilitation that I really needed for a long, long time. I'm blessed to, have this mindset, to surrender to what I really need to focus on, man. And then then the ultimate thing, man, is just really, man, being so blessed to really be doing God's work, man. And I just feel like I'm in the passenger seat right now, and God's just steering the steering the train or steering the plane or what have you. So it just feels good, man, to, work my butt off, to get my mental state right and to get right back and to get right on track.
And see, what I like about your story is because, it's not like when you was 10, I know you dreamed to be on that real, powerful platform where everybody, you was the American quarterback. And if you're not trained when you come out of the womb to take on that type of pressure, there's going to be some breakdowns. So I'm happy that even though there's breakdowns, you're still coming up. And all the time when I talk to my clients, I say down is dealing only with negative, but up is understanding God's purpose, understanding God's plan. And I'm happy that you're understanding your purpose, because purpose is a journey, with many different destination or stops. So since you gave us an update now, let's go back when you were young. My brother, when did you realize that you had gifts? Because you were great at not just at football, but at baseball. From 0 to 12, when did you find out that you were just good?
Honestly, I really started to really believe in myself and to think I had a chance at actually my dreams and my goals that I prayed for and that I worked my butt off for. Probably at the age of about 12 or 13, I was selected to play on the All-Star team up in Cobb County, up at East Cobb in Georgia. It was a predominantly white baseball team. And so so at the age of about 12, 13, and we came from all over the state, and I was chosen to be on that team. And so at the age of about 12, 13, I really, really started to believe in myself in baseball. So that ball got rolling of confidence in baseball early. Now, I always wanted to be a quarterback, but, those dreams were delayed a little bit because I had some guys that were at my recreation park who was pretty good and had been playing quarterback for a few years. So I didn't actually get to play quarterback full time until I was 12 years old. And so entering high school, I didn't have a whole lot of experience, but I knew I wanted to play. I had some good coaches in high school. I worked my butt off. I got the blessings of having Steve Davenport come over to our school my junior year. I had a decent sophomore year. But when Steve came over, he went to Georgia Tech. He coached at Savannah State, head coach at Decatur, Reed Woodland, and actually just stepped down over South Gwinnett. But he instilled in me in something that was Mom told me I could play in the NFL. And when when those words hit my ears, man, it just, it was powerful. It did something to me. I really believed in what he was teaching us, where he came from, his pedigree, his philosophies. And I knew that would translate over into my game of us throwing in football. So it married right. So really, man, my junior year, I had a decent sophomore year, but my junior year in football is when I really started believing things would come together. But baseball, it was early on, around 12.
Wow. And what I know about you, because, brother, I'm a die-hard fan. I'm a die-hard Cowboys fan. And in 2001, when I saw you at that stage, brother, the way you throw that ball, it had to come from, the gift of God. So at an early age, you have these gifts. You get all this attention. But mentally, how were you staying strong? Because you did achieve what a lot of young people dream. You made it. But how were you able to mentally remain strong and healthy?
honestly, man, that came from my mom and it came from God. I grew up in the church. I grew up in a single parent home. I had a very strong willed mom, provided for me. But then what she also instilled in me was the fear of God and
Wow.
doing the right things. Um, you know, uh, Instilling in me that I was gonna get my strength from God. And as I got older, as far as me keep going to Bible study and church, I started understanding who God was, where I can draw my strength from, where I can draw my wisdom from, people that I need to be surrounding myself around. So these principles were instilled in me, since I could remember. So as I got older, I started developing a better relationship with God. I altered the relationship by doing some things I'm sure we'll get into. And I altered that relationship, and ultimately, I took my eyes off God.
Well, and a lot of times when we talk about God, to me, what I try to tell my clients is the best thing you can do is look in the mirror. And when you look in the mirror and you see how beautiful that mirror can be, it is just like looking at God, because you see this beautiful mirror, and every time you give that mirror a compliment, you're giving yourself a compliment. Because a lot of times when we see God, he shows us ourselves. Now, I heard you talk about your spiritual father, which is God. I heard you talk about your biological mother. But what advice do you have for a lot of our African American men who is trying to achieve on a high level, but didn't have that connection with their biological father? So I guess my question to you, my second follow-up question would be, how did it hurt not really being just totally connected with your biological father?
That's a great question, and the only way I can answer that question is, my mom provided everything for me. You know, when I was growing up, my father wasn't talked about very much, to be honest with you. Very rarely did I ask any questions. And so I being 43 now, I understand what mindset I was in, to keep my head to the ground and stay focused and try to block it out as much as possible. But it would come up in my mind. Um, but I relied on my strength from God. I relied on my mom's wisdom that she was getting from God. Me and my mom had a very open relationship, so I really went to God, and asked God for that strength, asked God for that understanding, asked God for that wisdom. And then I was lucky enough to get that advice from my mom also. And so
Gotcha.
yeah, so I was blessed in that aspect from my mom to, instill in me, hey, I gotta pray, to God and get that understanding from him while my father is not around. But then honestly too, she gave me so much, it didn't come up very much also.
And that's why I call you a hero. And that's why I call you resilient. Because look at where you was going. And you would think, like Barack Obama, he became the first African American president. He just had a single mother. But you would think you need that mother and that father to help mold and shape you for where you're going in life. And what you just
Mm-hmm.
said to me, Dr. Chism, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. I had a mom, but she was dedicated. And that's why I love my black sisters. You know what I'm saying? Because without our sisters, they hold it down. They hold the family down, the churches down, the schools down. So I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of your mother, and I'm proud of your resiliency. And you were able to not be a victim, because a lot of people become victims, and they be angry that a board is missing. So what you're saying is you were able to connect with your mom, and you were happy connecting with other men that could provide that source. So now another question, if you don't mind. What advice can you give to these young people who have a destiny, you know, like yours, but they're saying something is missing? I got moms, I got coaches, I got bonus fathers, stepfathers, but it's a void because I don't have a biological father. What advice can you give these young people to let them know you just need purpose and God in front of you, and you can make it to these higher heights? What's your advice for these fatherless young people, my brother?
Well, honestly, I'm going to be tough with this one. You can't use it as a crutch, and you've got to gain that relationship with God where you ask him for understanding, you ask him for wisdom, you ask him for strength. But I'm a living proof that you can actually get through and accomplish all your goals with not having that father figure in your life. But you can't use it as a crutch and an excuse. But the biggest advice is that you've got a resource to go to. So don't use it as a crutch.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Because before you got your body anyway, you was with God. And I'm happy that you were able to find him and you was able to achieve. So let's move on to, I think you played high school ball, and the name of your mascot was the Panthers, right?
Yep.
Take me through, you made it to the championship and you won. And what was that feeling like when you was on that stage of winning and setting records? What was that like for you when you won the state championship, my brother?
Well, honestly, winning the state championship, man, is probably one of the life, man. I come from a very proud neighborhood in Decatur, a very proud community. And, we got close knocking on the door in 1990. We actually won the state championships in the 70s, but it wasn't an all-black predominantly school at that time. So we had a lot of pride in being one of the first all-black high schools to win a state championship at the highest classification in Georgia. So it meant the world to us. We got close in 95 when I was a junior. Actually, it was 94. When I was a junior, we lost in the sign to go back after that title, and we got it done my senior year.
And that's why I'm gonna keep saying it, brother. You're a hero. Look at you. Grew up in a single parent home, and you didn't know that you was going to be a quarterback because you knew you had baseball skills, but yet you was evolving and growing. And that's why I try to tell my clients, I try to tell people, life is about growth and development, and it's about achievement. Now you instead of going to college, you play professional baseball. Now, what was that like evolving? Because usually we go to school, and then we have that monitoring where, we got to go to the dorms and you can't sneak out, So, but instead of you going to the dorms, you went and played professional baseball. How was that transition, my brother?
You know something? Baseball was always my first love, and got quite a to get a $450,000 check at 18 years old. I knew that I couldn't pursue both fully like I really wanted to, baseball and football. And I thought it was a perfect opportunity. Plus, with the money being right and getting mom out the neighborhood, I thought the money was right for me to pursue one sport. And if it didn't work out, I could always have football. So I did that. And then eventually, I went back to play football. But, my mindset was hey, if I'm going, if I'm going to go after this baseball and want to be a major league player, then I need to set football aside and give it its full shot. And I did that. Unfortunately, and to continue to give me that itch. And eventually I went back to football 3 years later.
So what was the mental health like going from high school to then baseball and being around certain different ages? How did you keep your mental health then when it came down to the pressure? Because I was looking at one interview and you were saying that baseball players should get more respect because of the sacrifices and what they have to do and the training and the year, a lot of games that they got to attend, practices. So how were you able to keep it mentally? How were you able to have a great mental health in that transition?
Well, honestly, those are the times I struggled. I made a poor decision when I was a 16-year-old of picking up some weed and some alcohol. It really, that was the first time really that I was, away from home. I was homesick. I was trying to become a man at the same time, really wasn't equipped all the way with those life skills. And so I found myself smoking a lot of weed early on in baseball. And
Wow.
trying to escape the pain of being away, trying to escape, me not having the success that I, thought I should be having at the time. And so I started medicating hard off marijuana, even as a 18, 19-year-old. So I didn't handle that period of my life very well at all.
And if you look at it, I think, and I respect you because, man, you take ownership. You own it.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
And I salute you. But what I've learned through treating people, a lot of times when life can give you things and something is incomplete, we can sometimes take all the ownership. It's just, you have to make some major choices at a young age. And you was operating on a higher level at a young age. And a lot of times before a young person act out, they are crying out. If you had, just say, if I was in your life as a mentor or life coach, and I could go around the games with you, what would have been some of the conversations before you were stepping out to self-medicate? Because weed is nothing but a downer. People use it to calm down, to relax, because of the diagnosis of anxiety and depression. Let's say we can go back in the hands of time. And right before you about to buy that weed, and I say, yo, Quincy, what's wrong? What would you have communicated to someone who really cares about your mental health on the pressure and the anxiety and the sadness that you was feeling? What conversation would you have with me if I can go back then and to cover your mental health? What would you have said to me?
Well, I would express to you of how lonely of a feeling it was, to be up, in Illinois with not a whole lot of family. I was born there, but I didn't grow up around my family, so I only knew my mom. So it was tough for me to really get close to my family members that I really hadn't grown up with. So it was lonely at times. So I would express, my feelings of being lonely. I would express my feelings of really, for the first time in my life in sports, really not having the success that I'm usually used to having. So those are a couple things I know. Yeah, those are a couple things I know I would express. And then being around my friends, those phone conversations. I wasn't a big phone guy, so sitting on the phone with somebody just wasn't my thing. And not being around my friends for the first time and some close people, and I'm my only child too. So those are some of the things I would have probably expressed to you.
Wow. And if you would have expressed that, what I would have said, because I developed this curriculum called pain language, where I believe that everybody have some type of pain that they don't like, and it's like their kryptonite. And what I'm saying, Quincy, you don't do confusion. You like clarity. And when confusion comes, it can hurt and cause you not to see things the way you should see it. So I'm so sorry, my brother, that you didn't have somebody that was there. And I do salute you for making that choice to make your life better and your family lives better. And that's why I call you a hero again, because even in the midst of that, you were still trying to be resilient. But at the same time, my brother, you still don't be so hard on yourself, because you had nobody there to really gravitate you through confusion, if that makes sense to you.
It does.
Yeah. So now as you move on and you say, okay, I'm done with this. And yes, I had some confusion and I may have abandoned some of my God principles and I may have made some bad decisions, but let me get my life back together. You went to the University of Georgia, right?
Yep.
Okay. So tell us about that, because you went there and you started breaking records, man. You was a freshman, and brother, you started I think it was 53 years before a freshman will start, and here you are bouncing out of professional baseball back into college, and you yet achieving. So what was that like? That transition? You went from high school to baseball, now from baseball to college. What was that transition like for you, my brother?
Well, man, I signed with Georgia Tech coming out of high school. And so Joe Hamilton had some pretty good years, or a couple good years at Georgia Tech. And he was still, I think, getting ready to be a junior. So I knew it was going to be tough to beat him out. So I had to pick a new school. And I always wanted to stay in the state of Georgia. Georgia was coming off probation the year before. And so it was a great opportunity. Mike Bobo was leaving. And so I took my mindset, man, back to high school. And I put all my chips out on the table. I called them all in. And man, look, I went after that job like none other. Actually, I had the playbook with me when I was finishing up baseball in the summer of '98. And so I was actually working out in the mornings for football and throwing with my trainer. I hired a trainer, Eric Johnson, to come live with me up in Illinois, and I hired him. So we were doing football in the mornings, and then I was playing baseball at night. But man, I just put all my chips in and say, hey, I got to go win this job, and I got to go win it now as a freshman, or else I'm going to be on this bench for a long time.
Now, Quincy, this is why I want you to know, because a lot of people be fans and they just be trying to make you feel good. That ain't me. I'm going to give you truth. The reason why I say you're a good brother, because even in the midst of everything that you had to endure, you still achieved. For instance, when you was playing for the Panthers, brother, Georgia Player of the Year. He finished high school career with 4,450 passing yards, 37 passing touchdowns, 1,489 rushing yards, and 32 rushing touchdowns. He was named Southwest Conference Freshman of the Year and was recognized as one of the top young quarterbacks in the nation. Now, when people see that, they're entertained. When people see you, they look at your ability and they say, look at that God. Because, brother, you were a man of God, but a lot of people will look at you as a God. But my question to you is, mentally, you were breaking records. You were growing. But who was there helping you mentally keep it together? Because I think at times you are harder on yourself because everything was not your fault. When you don't have the opportunity to get the counseling and the mental health services that you need when you're carrying a burden, brother, you're going to self-medicate, whether it's church, whether it's food, whether it's drugs, whether it's women. So how big is mental health when it comes down to athletes that's trying to evolve and get to that high stage. How big is mental health, my brother?
I think it's huge. And I think it's so huge of being on the same level of as you're peaking as an athlete, because as you're peaking as an athlete, your world starts to change. All right. So your nose that you were getting from everybody now turns into yes.
Wow.
Your view of the world starts to change because everything around you starts to change and starts to actually feed into your ego. So in that process, you lose yourself, and you lose yourself because now if you're not strong enough and have the right people around you and even have the right voices around you, because
that's the support system.
And that's that support system, because you can actually have your family around you and still feel like you're the only one in the room at that time, and they can be all around you right then and there because they truly don't understand what you're going through.
The burden of your calling.
Yes, and you're truly not expressing how you really feel because you want to make everybody around you happy and keep a smile on their face. But in the inside of you, you're knowing that your burden, your responsibility has risen, what dreams you have in mind and not nobody else's dreams, the pressure you're getting from your coaches, the fans, your teammates. For my case, I started adding kids early. You know, in my career, hell, I had 3 kids before I even got to Dallas. You know, so living with that. So it's so much that plays into it, and you're holding on to all of this. And the only thing you can do is go out on a football field and try to exert your energy there. But then when that's not working for you, then them feelings are still there. So now, hey, you got to take them feelings away and lessen the pain. And for me, it was picking up that marijuana.
Hey, Mr. Carter, it's not just you. It's not just you. It's everybody. It looks like it's just you because you was on a larger platform with the cameras in your face. Mm-hmm. It's an epidemic, my brother. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I've developed this concept called pain language, like I said, and it's 6 pain languages. And pain language is painful memories, and it's patterns of memories that one is recorded in a person's mind. And meaning when you go through life experience and you have these painful memories, and if you're not aware of your pain language, you can operate in your pain language. And for a second, let me see what your pain language is, because I'm already seeing you like clarity. And as long as you have clarity, you're good. But when confusion comes, that can hurt you. So let me go over the 6. It's abandonment, because a lot of people would say they've been abandoned. Abuse, a lot of people have been devalued. Anger, and that's the constant flow of disappointment. Fear, that's when you don't trust nobody. Confusion, and that's when you need clarity. Then you have pride, and that's when your chest stick out. Before you made it to the highest level as an athlete, what do you think your 2 pain languages were? And this is the memories that's like kryptonite that cause you to go to that drug. Would it be abandonment, abuse, anger, fear, confusion, or pride? Pick 2 out of the 6. And what do you think your 2 pain languages were at that time?
That's deep, man. It hurts to say this one, but the number one that comes to my mind was fear. And being
it shouldn't hurt to say it.
Yeah,
because you got
but Bill,
it's just this
Bill,
is hear me out, Quincy. And I'm gonna give it to you. You gotta know, man, you just had an 18-year-old brain.
mhm.
But you know the brain don't stop developing until you're 25. And that's
Yes.
when you have all access to all
Mhm,
parts of your brain. And think
mhm,
about it. When you were a kid, brother, you held your mama hand. Why? Because you needed that safety and security. So it's okay to say, fear is my pain language. It's
mhm,
not your purpose, but it's your pain language. So my
mhm.
question to you now, brother, why did you pick fear as your pain language?
Because I've been in therapy a little bit, and I've had one in particular therapist who told me, and it really is really stuck to me to this day. Every time I really got to that point of breaking through to stardom, I always did something to bring me back down, or to make a mistake, or to smoke weed, or to fail a test, or to have another child. I always did something, that almost just self-sabotaged me. And when you really get down to the nit grit of that, I would call that fear. And then the second one, honestly, man, what me thinking about it a little bit, I would say confusion. Because yeah, because I was confused who I was becoming. I was confused whether, I was going to play baseball or football. So I can relate to them two the most.
And
You
believe it
know,
or
it,
not, brother, let me just help you because I don't want you to be so hard on yourself because you're an athlete and you got to understand you always in competitive mode and you compete because that's who you are in certain areas of your life. I don't think you self-sabotage. I just think you didn't pick the right coping skill.
hmm,
See, a lot of times life is about how we cope. And man, if you are not effectively being trained, because although your mother was there, and we salute your mother, but brother, there was an absence in your life. Although you had a spiritual God, you still needed a earthly one. So what I'm
hmm,
saying, when the pressure became hard, you didn't have the proper coping skills, and you become your coping skills. So I
hmm,
think you have to be careful saying I, because I
hmm,
is the inner self of God. But then there's an inner critic, and that's the critical things we go through throughout life. So here we are, you're just a teenager, and you got fear. That means you want to be able to trust. That means you want to be able to understand where you're going. You want to feel safe and secure, right? But you're going through all these changes. Why? Because the ball is always in your hand. You are the man on the field, especially as the quarterback. So at the age of 18, you got fear and confusion, but you yet becoming what God ordained for you to be because you was yet able to still achieve. Brother, I know a lot of people that's bound by fear and confusion, and they don't achieve anything.
hmm.
So if you don't mind, this is what I say to certain people. Say these words if you don't mind. I'm not going through. Say
I'm
that.
not going through.
I'm growing through.
I'm growing through. Hmm,
And at the age of 18, you needed somebody to say that, but you didn't have it.
hmm.
But that don't mean you still didn't have the purpose. So help me understand, in the midst of fear and confusion, how were you still able to achieve on a high level in college?
God, and that's where I grew my strength from. It's funny, man, when I tell my story. I always catch myself saying this, is that I honestly uh, feel bad, and it's just not a great feeling to know where I draw my strength from today, where I've always drawn my strength from, but now being more consistent in my life now. And it's almost like I got God's gifts when things got tight, when things weren't going my way. And then I wanted to, take that wheel back and do whatever I wanted to do. And God wrestled with me and kept pulling me like, no, my will's gonna be done. My will's gonna be done. And I kept taking my wheel back instead of letting God have it. And
But
eventually,
that's all of us. That's all of us that at times we are trees. Trees mean truth. We get unroot. We find ourselves, we don't want to be connected to the ground. And if you disconnect the tree from the ground, the tree would die. It's just, if you still gotta understand, even in the midst of you achieving, it was still some mental health support that you didn't get. So only thing I'm saying, take responsibility, but everything was not your fault because you had a large calling. Tell you the truth, brother, if we can go back in the hand of time, I talk to your mom and dad and I say, this man's gonna break records. So I need you guys to make sure mentally and emotionally he's stronger and know how to cope. And coping skills doesn't always mean that ultimately you're so strong. It just means when you're weak, you know how to cope. And I think at times the pressure got so tough that you didn't have the proper coping skills, but yet you still achieved. Now, as we sort of wrap things up, help me understand when you got drafted as the first African American for the Dallas Cowboys. And what I'm saying, my brother, regardless of your career, you still the first. You can't erase that. You know what I'm saying? So regardless of what you've been through, single mother, grew up in the hood, you're still resilient and you're growing with the pain language of fear and confusion. And you got to add another that pain language, you got prideful. So a lot of times when Quincy is in fear and he in confusion, he runs to pride. And pride is that pleasure-seeking hormone. Because a lot of times when there's too much pain, our brains want to have pleasure or an escape. So now you enter into as a professional athlete with three pain languages: confusion, fear, and pride. How was that first touchdown pass? Because I remember you were playing against the Washington Redskins. And oftentimes I wonder, because a lot of athletes, they'll throw it up. But brother, you actually got on your knees and did this. So, a lot of time when people fall down, they go get religion. When they go to prison, they go get religion. I'm just trying to show people you don't have religion. You always had spirituality. And that don't mean you're not perfect. That don't mean you don't cope always good, but you always acknowledge God. So take me what was going on in your mind when you threw that bomb and it was your first touchdown as a Dallas Cowboys, your first pass.
man, honestly, what went into that celebration was getting hurt my junior year, only playing 6 games, having some terrible stats, me leaving school and saying, hey, I got to make the best of this right now. Didn't really believe in our coaching staff coming back. And so taking that chance of going pro, people saying I'm going to get drafted 4th or 5th round. I ended up getting drafted the 2nd round by the Dallas Cowboys, getting hurt the 2nd game of the year against the Raiders and having surgery. And the day that I have surgery is on my birthday. So having surgery on my birthday and watching Monday Night Football on my birthday in a hospital bed, it just fueled me. And I tried to get back as quick as possible. Matter of fact, I wanted to get back for that Michael Vick game when he started his first game in the Dome in Atlanta, and we were gonna play against each other, but I just wasn't ready. And then the next week going to Washington, and then throwing that ball and actually throwing it to a good friend of mine's, Rocket, that was just all of the emotion of what had led up to the draft my junior year, getting injured, having surgery. And then it's like, wow, you know what I mean? Like God, sent me through it all. And man, it just felt good, man. It really did.
Now,
And that's the only man I could give it up to. And I just gave it
because
up
he
to
is
God.
your source. He is the ground. We are the tree, and we rooted and grounded in him. And that day you became fruitful. And when that fruit fell from that tree, you gave homage to the ground, and that is God. It's just, brother, I just want you to know that I really mean I got a good heart for you, because that's why I call you resilient. A lot of people don't know the injury and how an injury will put you in your pain language.
Yeah.
But look at how you was able to bounce back, to adjust and adapt. But one other question before we move on, we're going to wrap things up. When you was in that hospital bed on your birthday, you have the pain language of fear and confusion. What was fear and confusion saying to you?
Well, it was questions more of, and is, will I ever play this year? And will I ever become who I was really trying to become? And it rung loud, to me. I never forget, I had my girlfriend there at the time. And it was just me and her. No one else could be in the room. My mom was actually still in Georgia. And so no one else could be in there. And, for the next 6 to 8 weeks, man, I had nothing to depend on but God. God put me in that situation to depend on him, so my eyes could be on him, so I can develop that relationship with him. And I did, but there's another time I can't hesitate to say, and when I say this, it's being hard on myself, but it's actually, it's honestly trying to get somebody to be in the psyche of my mind and understand where they go wrong with Christ, and getting God's gifts and not, displaying his gifts or giving his gifts back to the next one.
So what you're saying is, when God gives you a gift, it's important that you are the instrument of the gift, and you're supposed to represent God and not yourself. Is that what you're saying?
Talk it, Pastor. Yes, sir. And no, talk it. No, you talking it. Talk now. No, for real. And then once again, Dr. Moses, that's where I took that wheel back and I said, "Oh no, I got it from here." But it was never me. It was him. So that's why I go there.
So at that time, if I could have came as a big brother or a life coach or counselor, and I could have visited you in that room, what is something that somebody could have said to remind you, okay, Quincy, when you're in fear and confusion, you act out in pride. Bro, stay away from pride. What could somebody have told you? Because we all need somebody to pull us back out of extremes. Because, brother, we were born in extremes. And we all trying to learn how to stay balanced. And with you going through all these extremes, trying to remain balanced, at times you acted out in pride. What did you need somebody to say mentally and emotionally for you to keep it together when you suffer from an injury?
Besides, to be honest with you, wanting to cry like a man.
Just being human. Somebody that can accept your tears.
Yes. And then, probably the ultimate thing was somebody saying, "Hey, you're going to be okay."
Wow.
Yep.
So you just needed a human.
Yep.
And that's why I say a lot of athletes have the superhero complex when they need to have the supernatural mindset. And when I look at you, brother, because I got love for you, because I love someone that can bounce out of anything. And when I see you, I see Peter. When God told Peter to come and walk, when Jesus told Peter to walk on the water, And oftentimes when we see that, I wonder why Jesus was walking on the water anyway. And then I got this revelation. Jesus was trying to teach Peter to walk on the water because a lot of things, when you walk on it, it'll drown you. But Jesus was saying, as long as you keep your eyes on me, what would drown other people, you will walk on it. And what I'm saying, my brother, even Peter himself took his eyes off of Jesus, but Jesus lifted him up. What I'm saying, Mr. Carter, you are a water walker. Because regardless of how you kept, at times your eyes got off God, but then your eyes got back on God. And that makes you a water walker, because a lot of things, if somebody else is in your position, they never would have became what you became. You are a water walker. What drowns other folks, you should have been dead. You should never made it. So this is another affirmation. If you don't mind, say these words. My name is Quincy Carter.
My name is Quincy Carter.
And I'm a water walker.
And I'm a water walker.
I walk on the things.
I walk on the things
that will drown other people.
That will drown other people.
Quincy, you didn't drown, brother. And I know, my brother, at times you be like, I just wonder what my career would have been. But was that God's will? God had his own plan for your life. And a lot of times we want to make it to the Hall of Fame. A lot of times we want that achievement. But a lot of times it's about fulfilling your purpose. Because I'm going to be honest, I need help. You got so many young people who are dying. You got so many athletes right now in divorce court. And guess what? You got a lot of them that come back from the drug of choice that they created or that they took. But look at you still here. So my last question is this, because I want to end on that. I want to end on when you threw that pass and you got on your knees and you said, God, I am your instrument and I'm thankful that I'm here. Because, brother, you made it. That's success. But let me ask you this. If I can be in that hotel room with you now and I'll pull up a chair, and if I can put people in that chair, what type of questions will you ask these people? And I'm going to give you like 10 seconds per person. For instance, whenever we don't know something, the main thing that comes to our mind is why. Because that's what our brain want to know. Why? But oftentimes, Quincy, when we say why, we really don't want to know the question. I mean, we don't want to know the answer. We're really saying, I don't accept. If God was in front of you and you had 10 seconds or 15 seconds to ask God why about anything, what why will you ask God? Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Don't think, just let it out. Go.
It's hard for me to question God. It really is. That's the first.
Quincy, Jesus did it on the cross. He said, "Why thou forsaken me?" It's okay. It's just what if that was the 19-year-old kid that was feeling lonely? Not because you're older now. Your brain is more developed and you're more logical and things make sense. But if we go back when you stopped getting your reps and you used to getting the reps, and that confused you how they was making transitions. If we can go back there and talk to that Quincy, if God came in front of him, what whys would he ask God? Ready?
Go. I'll be honest with you. This one is tough, man, because it's two that comes to mind, but I don't want anybody to and no disrespect.
I know, brother.
I want people to understand that the power of God and questioning some things that he has done or things that have happened, you know, I respect it so much that you know what I mean? I can't,
So
like,
what
you
would
know,
you do? What would you say to the kid who's stuck in that why? Like, I got everybody here at
trust
this
him.
game.
Trust him. You gotta trust him. You
Gotcha.
gotta trust him. And you gotta ask for that wisdom.
Gotcha.
You
So,
gotta ask for that wisdom and
so
ask for that discernment. But that
good.
was tough though, Doc. That was tough. And no disrespect though,
No, no,
Doc.
no.
But that was
I
tough
respect
because
you. I
yeah,
respect you.
okay. Yeah,
So
now
what
that
if
was
your
tough because
biological
I got two good ones, but then I don't want none of my young kings out there to have any excuses.
but
You
what if
know,
they can relate to your why? What if you remember Carter? Listen to me, bro.
trust him because he's always gonna show up.
But
Trust him
Carter,
because
how can
but
I trust a God that I don't see and I want to see my father? I don't see my father, so how can I believe in a God that I don't see?
because I'm a living testimony that God will show up like never before and God's will be done. You got to trust him. It may not come with that shining star out there. It may not come with you walking outside and God just talked to you right now. It probably won't happen to you like that, but it'll happen in circumstance. It'll happen through people. It'll happen through your dreams, and God will show you something. It's so many ways. He's so magical. I mean, I could tell you a story today that happened to me a year from just today, but he's going to show up. You got to trust him, and God will not be denied. I'm a living proof of it. I'm a living testimony of it. He restores, but you got to have that faith, and you got to trust. And
Okay.
I'm a living
And
testimony.
this is what I hear you say. Accept it. Accept what you can't change and deal with what you can. I got it. So one other person in the chair. What if we can bring the old Quincy and
Okay.
talk to the Pastor Quincy? Because I want to call you Pastor Carter. If the old Quincy can sit in the chair and talk to this powerful Quincy now, this coach that has evolved from being a player, now you're a coach. Now you got plays of life, not just plays on the field, but you got plays for life. Quincy, you're a water walker, okay? Now you sit down and now you're talking to yourself. What whys will you ask your old self? You got 15 seconds. Go.
What in the hell did you pick up that weed for? And you knew God's strength, you knew his wisdom, you knew his calling was on your life. What in the hell did you pick up that weed for to lead to everything else? Boom.
And what if he would respond by saying, it's too much pressure and I'm hurting. It's the first time away from my mom. And everybody is expecting so much out of me. And I'm gifted with all these gifts, but I'm still human, but I don't feel like a human. And this is why I want to go pick it up. What advice or what would you have said to them then if he would have responded like that?
Well, now that I know at 43, I've got the formula. I got the solution. Trust him, surrender to him, and you will see the results.
Gotcha. Quincy Carter, your legacy is powerful. And I know you don't know me, but you helped me a lot in my sessions. Man, I've counseled thousands of people, and some have died. One guy came in because he was on the injury list, and he was about to get a big bonus. One guy broke his ankle, and that 40 million contract just left his hands. And when I bring people up, because I'm in the pig pen, I'm dealing with pain. brother, I got a picture of you and I bring up your story. So what I'm saying to you, you are a success. And you are an amazing brother. And I know life might didn't end the way you wanted to end for Cowboys and for the Jets and other things. But man, you got so much life to live. You are truly an inspiration on how life begins when the game is over. So I hope I can stay connected because I got so many young people who need Quincy. And you know what? Don't nobody like perfect people. You like people who got a testimony. You like people who got scars. So it was very, it was great to talk to somebody that's been counseling people with me and you didn't even know it. Your picture is on my wall.
Wow.
I'm in my a home office now due to coronavirus. But your picture is on my wall because when the hurt and the broken come to me, I need to show them someone that didn't have a father, but yet achieved. That had to make responsible decisions about his family, but yet achieved. Then went to high school. Everybody was happy. You brought a win, you brought a W to the school. Then you went to college. You broke records. Then you became the first African American to play in the NFL for Cowboys. Brother, you are a hero. But you're learning now, God don't want you to be just a superhero in man's eyes. He wants you to be supernatural. So from my company, my little small company, I'm letting you know, brother, you one of our heroes.
No, I appreciate it, man. And thanks for having me too, man. I feel your spirit, man. I really do. And thanks for having me, man. And hey, look, we've got each other numbers, man. So you got any guys out there who need some help, you know, that you think I can help, man, feel free to give me a call, man. You know, like I said, it's been a
and I'm gonna call you the specialist. I'm gonna call you the specialist because you know when you've been when you've been through special things and you come out and you don't have to be perfect. Recovery is hard because a lot of people don't know what the power of addiction is. Your brain telling you to go get it. But if you be careful of your PPT and you stay in tune with your purpose, you are a specialist. And it's not if you can, you can.
Yes, sir.
So just know your life is not over and all those dreams that you've been dreaming, it's going to come to pass. But stay on the journey of purpose. And brother, it's good to meet a water walker.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Let's stay in touch, buddy.
I sure will, man. You take it easy, Quincy.
Okay, you too, Doc. All right, buddy.
See you later. Man.